Aloha and welcome everyone to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and their staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, you've just got to check out the Pacific Source Cabinet and Appliance Showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific and President of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association.
Each week during this hour, we share the experiences of how our nonprofit agencies are working to benefit our island home with stories of how these agencies are changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope. And today we have a couple executive directors from some incredible organizations, but I think we're starting with Joy Lynn from the Maui Nui Botanical Garden. Is that right?
Right, yes. And I forgot to say that Max Tornai, Executive Director of the Mediation Services Maui.
That's right.
Is our co-host for today. Thanks, Max.
Yeah, always.
He just jumps right in there. He's ready to go.
Always glad to be here. It's always a good time to hear what everybody's up to these days. How are you doing today, Pua?
Oh.
I mean, I'm sorry, Joy Lynn.
We're moving ahead. No, I'm good.
Goodness.
I'm doing good. I don't mind being called Pua, too. That's a compliment.
How the plants and the trees going?
They're doing good. They're doing good at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens. You know, we're right down the road from here in Kahului, and we're a botanical garden that features native Hawaiian plants and Polynesian introduced plant species within a coastal sand dune environment. And we've been around for over 30 years. 36 years so far, and the trees are doing well, the plants are doing great, and best thing is that the community's coming in and enjoying all of that all the time. So we really like seeing new faces come down and value the garden like we do.
Definitely.
Do you have people who just stop by and come walking in just to see what's there?
We definitely do. We have just local families that come, especially during spring breaks or winter breaks. A lot of the kids enjoy coming in. We have a playground down there too, which is very nice. But then we also have a lot of visitors from Maui that come by and do some tours that we have to offer, and they just enjoy the gardens. We're open 6 days out of the week, Monday through Saturday from 8 to 4, so we're very easily accessible to everybody.
That's great, and the location is perfect.
Yeah. If you don't know where we're at, Maui Nui Botanical Gardens is across the street from the War Memorial Stadium, right down the road from the hospital.
Yeah, and do people still say the old Maui Zoo?
You know, not as often.
Not as often anymore.
I'd like to say, but I'm sure a lot of old-timers still refer to the location as the Old Maui Zoo. And, you know, when you come by, you'll see remnants of the zoo, and we still have some old concrete green structures up that were the cages of where lemurs used to be,
Way
and
back in
spider
the day.
monkeys.
Yeah.
You
Well, no,
remember
wait a
those
minute,
days,
wait a
Max?
minute. It wasn't that long ago.
Well, the zoo itself closed down in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually the garden began when Renee Silva, who was the caretaker of the zoo, had an interest in native plants. And this is in the 70s, mid-70s. And so as he was taking care of the zoo, he started planting native plants around. And eventually, many of them grew into large trees. But he also had a very special interest in planting things that were endangered and unique to Maui Nui itself. So we're talking about not just the island of Maui, but Molokai, Lanai, Molokini, and Kaho'olawe. So that's kind of what we specialize in, like our name suggests, Maui Nui Botanical Gardens.
So then it was a natural for the botanical gardens to take over the zoo grounds when they closed.
Yes.
Because you were already started.
That's right. The trees were there already.
Yeah,
So
you had a 20-year head start.
yeah. It's a really wonderful garden in the heart of Kahului. And a lot of people, you know, get so used to the urban life here, you forget that you can just go right down the road and walk into our entrance, and you're really greeted with a lush canopy of native trees, and then you enter into the garden, and there's so many different species that we have there to offer and educate people about.
Sounds like a good place to go when things aren't going well.
Yeah,
We have a few
definitely.
visitors like that. Like, oh,
Or
nice
just
to see you today.
you know, in the middle of your stressful day to decompress, you know, go into the botanical
Yeah.
gardens for lunch
Oh,
or
let me
something.
see. Do I go to the Y and go swimming, or do I go to the botanical gardens and just relax?
Right. Well, both are
Both
are
of
really
those sound
good.
great.
We actually do have a few people that are regular visitors during lunch, so
Really?
it's nice to have just even if it's county workers or just regular people that come in and enjoy the garden just for a bite to eat.
Now, a couple times a year you have sales
Yes.
of some of your plants.
Yes, we're not just a garden for everybody to look at and enjoy. We also are a provider of native plants to the Maui community. So on average, we have at least 2 events a year that make native plants accessible to the public. And then we have a few other just community events that we host to promote conservation of native Hawaiian plants. So let me see, our next plant sale, it's not going to happen till probably August is our main plant sale, but our next big event that's going to be happening is in April, where we're going to be celebrating Earth Day.
Earth Day.
Nice.
Yeah. We're looking forward to that, just beginning our planning stages for that. But Earth Day is just a day to celebrate just Mother Earth, but in a more cultural context through
Okay.
the gardens, because part of what we do is promote the Hawaiian culture and the conservation of our natural resources. So during Earth Day, we try to incorporate a lot of Hawaiian activities, games, and like makahiki games or cultural games, and tours for visitors to participate in. And we have conservation organizations come in and just promote the work that they're doing.
Cool. And how long have you guys been doing that?
Oh, gosh. I know since probably 2005, because I remember when I was working for another organization, I went to Earth Day at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens, and I swear it was one of the best events that I ever went to. And then I just recently started working at the gardens 2 years ago. So there was a little bit of a break in when Earth Day happened between 2005 and now, but just last year we brought it back, and it was a successful event, and we're really looking forward to more people coming and enjoying the day. It's going to be in, I want to say April 13th, the
Right.
2nd April.
Yep.
The second
You're right
Saturday
on.
in April.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
right on.
Yeah.
Now you've also got your own event, the Ho'omau,
Yeah. Well,
coming up in March.
Yeah, well, we try to partner with different community organizations, and Ho'omau is coming up on March 23rd. And this is actually a fundraiser for Punana Leo O'Maui, the Hawaiian Immersion School up in Wailuku. They've been celebrating the Hawaiian language for over 25 years in the amphitheater area. And just last year, we partnered together, and they needed to expand the event. And I thought it was a great idea to bring more cultural context into the garden, and we had the space. So thanks to everybody working together, we're doing it again this year.
Second annual.
Yep.
That's a
And
good thing.
It's only better when you know, there's a big push for collaboration these days.
Yes.
You know, doing more with less, and that's great that you guys were able to get that going.
Yeah, it really is, because that particular event brings thousands of people to the garden. You know, on a daily average, we average, you know, less than 40 people a day that come and wandering through. But it's one of these big, large community events that brings in the magnitude and the locals,
Yeah.
so that they realize, wow, this isn't the old zoo anymore. But what it is a beautiful garden that we can come enjoy throughout the entire year, not just for that particular day. So that's a big reason why I enjoy being able to have other nonprofits come in and make use of the garden. And we really have to mahalo the Parks and Rec department, because they're the ones that make it all possible. We are on county land, and we help take care of about a 6-acre parcel over there with the garden. So without their support, we wouldn't be able to make this available to the community.
Parking must be something else that day.
Well, you have the War
Stadium.
Memorial
Right.
right across the street, so there's plenty of parking there.
Yeah.
There is, and it's a day-long event from 9 to
Sunset.
sunset, so not everybody's there all day long.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tell people how it works for if somebody doesn't know. Is there an entrance fee? Can people just walk in?
Well, we actually are free to the public, but we are a nonprofit and we run off of memberships and donations. So anybody who wants to come in and make a donation is more than welcome to.
Yeah.
But we also offer our guided tours, as well as we just started a new audio tour in January, where people can rent for $5 a audio wand, where you just walk around, kind of like Maui Ocean Center. You just walk around with that wand in your ear and push a button, and you hear about the plant. And it's been a year in making to get that audio tour going, but we just started it in January, and it's very useful.
Yeah,
for
those are really
visitors.
cool. Yeah, because you can just hear all the information at your own pace,
Right.
your own time when you get to that particular spot.
Yeah, and
Really
it's and
good.
like I said, it's only $5 to spend like 2 hours, 3 hours learning about native plants the way you want to and in the
Yeah.
context you want to. And then we also have self-guided tours and docent-led tours that are offered Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. And that you have to make reservations, and we ask for a $10 donation for those tours. But that one,
Still,
you get
that's-
a personal guide,
Yeah, that's incredibly reasonable. And it's a
Yeah.
donation still. So,
Right.
Yeah. Get some tax credits, $10 tax
There
credits.
you go. There you go. Well, it's also, I mean, if I were looking to, say, build a home or totally redo my yard or something, I mean, that would be the perfect way to come and find out about the various plants.
Yes.
If I'm in a dry area,
Yes.
you know, what should I be planting? How much water does it really take? You know, like the Xeriscape place on Oahu. I used to go out there and I was just fascinated at how some of those plants grew with nothing
Right.
for water.
I'm so glad you bring that up, Susie, because that is another part of what we do is we get funding from Department of Water Supply, and it's for that particular purpose of being a demonstration garden to the community so that they can see that native plants save water, which is a huge resource that we need to conserve here on the island. And that this is the way you can do it. This is the irrigation methods you can use, just by mulching and doing xeriscaping techniques.
Right.
That's the way to improve our island.
And it doesn't have to look like a house in Las Vegas with rocks in the yard and crushed
Cacti.
Right.
gravel and cactus.
Yeah.
Right, you can definitely have beautiful landscaping with natives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys specifically for dry, like a dry type of climate? Because Maui has so many different types
Right.
of ecosystems.
Right. Yeah. Our particular climate is more dry land, coastal areas, sandy areas. But what's interesting is a lot of people don't realize, but we are all the middle isthmus of Maui is actually a huge sand dune. It used to wrap around all the way from Waihe'e almost all the way to Ma'alaya. And so when you see construction projects going on and you see them digging up what you would expect to be dirt, it's really sand. That's why we have the Sand Hills communities,
Right.
you know.
That's
When when you drive around and you see the names of places, and you're going to realize there's a lot of sandy names out there. And so so our garden is situated still on the remnants of that old sand dune. And so we're very comparable to places like Inkihe, Lahaina, you know, all those lowland areas that are right by the beach, or even a little further inland, or even a little Mauka, maybe like to 2,000, 2,500 foot elevation. We grow
Really?
plants
Yeah.
in that kind of range, yeah.
So let's see if you know your stuff. I know, maybe I don't want to put you on the spot.
quiz.
But no, I was going to ask what kind of plants would be appropriate for, you know, I'm not a botanist, I don't know. But maybe there are people in our audience that are looking that, you know, you can just mention a couple species that would do really well in those areas.
Well, for the more coastal areas, we have a lot of Ilima Papa, which is more ground covers. It has nice yellow flowers to it, real subtle, but really nice, beautiful ground covers. We have the Ihi, which is a nice, kind of almost a succulent plant that has a nice yellow flower to it as well, but it's an endangered species that we've been able to propagate and make available to the public. So those are kind of cool too. You don't have to water a lot. Do you know that one, Susan?
Hold on for just a second,
Okay.
and you can think about it while we hear from Pacific Source.
All right.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, where we talk story with executive directors of our member agencies and find out what they're up to. And we were just in the middle of a conversation. Max Tornai, our co-host today, was discussing with Joylyn Paman, who is the executive director of the Maui Nui Botanical Gardens, discussing what does grow well. What would you recommend?
Yeah, well, we got so many different plants there. It just depends on the environment that you live in.
Yeah, and my next question was actually, you mentioned your big semi-annual plant sales in August, and I think you said April? But my question was, can people come into the Maui Nui Botanical Garden and buy in between those plant sales?
Yeah, we have a small selection available right at our main office area of a variety of plants. So people can come in, pick and choose. If we don't have it at that particular time, we might have it available down in our nursery, which is kind of behind the scenes. So we have to go do a little looking and see if it's available. But we try to make a nice selection available for the public and take that opportunity to explain what the value of that plant is and how you can use it in your garden.
That's great. So not only would you get the education of what the plant is, why it grows well in the area, but you're also supporting a great nonprofit that's doing good service for the community.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Right. Now, are those set prices on things like that?
Yeah,
That's
we
not
have
donation.
No,
Yeah.
there are set prices,
Okay.
but we're very reasonable. I mean,
Okay.
if you go to some other stores, the big box stores, then you probably get them half price
Right. And
what we have.
You probably get a lot of people who buy and then give you an extra something as a
Yeah,
donation to
yeah.
thank you for it.
They
Yeah.
do. We're very fortunate that a lot of people are very generous when they come by.
Yeah.
The first time I had Joylyn on the radio, I was giving her a bad time over one of the programs they have. And that's the Weed and Pot Club.
I think I was actually on this show or was listening. I remember this string of conversation. It's not what it sounds like.
It's not. It's the Weed and Pot Club is our weekly volunteer group that meets Wednesday mornings from 8:30 to 10:30, and they really are the heart and soul of our volunteers that keeps the garden looking beautiful. Right now we have a full-time staff of just 3 people. 2 of us work in the office, and one takes care of the garden. So she really depends on having these volunteers being out there helping to keep the garden.
How big off the top of your head is the grounds? Is it? It's got to be a couple acres, yeah?
Well, yeah, the actual garden area itself is probably around 4 acres, but we have 6 acres altogether where we have our nursery in the background and some composting areas.
It's actually
So-
quite a bit.
So yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, try taking care of that.
Yeah.
So the Weed and Pot Club is weeding and potting.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah,
Yes.
from about 8:30 to 9:30, The volunteers are out in the garden weeding and mulching or raking and just getting the garden ready for the day and for the week. And then the second hour is down in our nursery, helping to pot plants, prepare them for like our plant sales, and just keeping our nursery area up and running.
I can see that. That'd be a great thing for people who live in condos or apartments who have a green thumb, and do want to do get their hands dirty.
Right.
Absolutely.
You don't have any place to do it at your home except maybe out on your little deck that
Right.
you've got, and that only goes so far. Coming down there and volunteering would be a great way to work out frustrations or just to
meet
do that thing.
people.
Exactly.
meet
That's what I was
people.
going to say.
A lot of people come just for the just to meet others.
Socialization.
Yeah, the socialization. Some people come to learn about the plants, or it's just something to do on a Wednesday morning. We also have been having a lot of students come and do their service learning projects during that time. So that helps to have some of the younger folks there too.
So what is that, like high school or college level or even younger?
More college level at this time of the year,
Uh-huh.
but during like the spring breaks or summers, then we have a lot of more of the high school that come in when they aren't in school. Yeah.
I couldn't remember if some high schools have.
Because if they're on a Wednesday morning, then
That's
something's
true.
wrong. They're in high school.
Don't
That was a
play
good
hooky.
point. Yeah.
Don't play hooky to go work at the gardens.
Yeah, so that's what our Weed and Pot Club is, and anyone is welcome to come in and participate. You just show up on a Wednesday morning and come with covered shoes, and we supply the gloves and fun entertainment with all
Yep.
the other volunteers.
Yeah. Now, on your website, you've got some photos and film sections showing some of your plants and so forth. And those are really, I mean, if you want to just get a taste of what you're going to see there, click on the website is just Maui Nui, or mnbg.org.
That's right. Yeah, it stands for Maui Nui Botanical Gardens.
Right.
But another good way to keep in touch with native plants is through our Facebook page. We, our program manager does an excellent job at promoting native plants every day, and through our Facebook page.
Really?
And, oh my gosh,
You
it's
know,
just taken off.
I can't get over how many nonprofits have somebody on their staff who is so into it, they just want to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I do it for you? Can I do it? You know? I don't have anybody like. Well, we don't have things on a daily basis either.
Right,
So
it's a little different
yeah.
for you guys,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that's the way that the communication is evolving these days. You know, it's all social network, not all social networking, but it's becoming bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
making a big.
Well, I'm not one of. I'm very fortunate that our program manager is very handy in knowing how to do Facebook and stuff. But it's really interesting to see the conversations that arise from just a plan of the day, where
Yeah.
you just have the average person just make a few comments, but then you get the scientists involved, and then they
Oh,
start
that's really
arguing
interesting. Oh,
about, well, is that really the species or is it this species? And then it's very interesting conversation, and it's nice to see that statewide we get responses, and even actually internationally we get people from like Germany commenting on
And
our,
I suppose depending on the angle of the picture or the sun, how it's hitting it or
Yeah.
something, it could be this or it could
that's
be
true.
that.
That's
Yeah?
true. Yeah.
Interesting. And people will check that.
Yes.
As you said, that you start getting the scientist in there. And they're going, no, that's not what that is. It needs to have another something on it, or
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But that's great because then it's being talked about,
exactly.
Yes. Exactly.
and everybody else who goes on that page sees all that, and okay,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just gets the community or almost the global community engaged a little
Yeah.
bit. So that's great.
I got to go over there one of these days.
I
and
do
Yeah, we
pick
should
up
all
a
come
sandwich
down
and
and have
go
lunch.
down. There we go. Maybe we should have our next board meeting over there.
That would be nice,
Yeah.
I
actually.
think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we better tell somebody who's in charge of that.
I'll check to see if her schedule's available.
We're the
After the
pivotal people in
maternity
that. You might just know them.
Joylyn, we've got a couple minutes. Anything you want to talk about? We've kind of pushed you into things we wanted to talk about, but
Well, it's more so just inviting the community to come and enjoy the garden. Like I said, we're open Monday through Saturday from 8 to 4, and we are free to the public. and we're located right here in Kahului across the War Memorial Stadium, and it's just a great place to come and enjoy. And we do actually get supported through the County of Maui. In fact, I think you brought it up a little earlier, Susie, where the Office of Economic Development just made a press release that we are one of the fortunate people to receive a nice chunk of money from the county to be able to support our programs, and we mahalo the
that's
county
great.
for that. And so with the budget hearings coming up,
That's
you know,
right,
in
that's
the
right.
next couple of months, it doesn't hurt to voice your support for the gardens and let the mayor know and our county council members know that the gardens is something worth funding and that we are doing a good service to the community.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to mention the website one more time if people were interested. It's for Maui Niue Botanical Garden. It was mnbg.org, right?
Right.
And how can people call in if they have questions that they want
The
to
phone number to call is 249-2798.
Great.
249-2798, or check us out on Facebook.
Facebook. There we go. There we go. We start and we end with Facebook.
We'll get you on Facebook one of these days, Susie.
I know. Well, I follow people, but I don't know how to respond or to post something on it. So for all of those who have me on your list, I am reading what you're sending. But I just, actually, it's one of those things that if I had the time, I'd probably learn how to do it.
Yeah.
But I figure as long as I'm connected and you're telling me what's happening, that's good, because
Yep.
I'm not doing anything as exciting as they all are. So. Anyway,
Yeah.
Joylyn, thank you so much for being with us today.
This was fun.
And good luck in all your ventures over there.
Yes, I hope to see you all at the gardens. Like I said, we got to have our meetings down
There you
there,
go.
or just come and have lunch. It's
Yeah.
all worth it.
One or the other.
Yeah,
Always nice to see your smiling face.
I think she likes what she does.
Yeah.
yeah, I
You
enjoy
can
it.
you can see that.
And speaking of smiling faces, over here we have Pua. You like that transition?
Oh, very good. Very good.
From the Hui Malama Learning Center in Wailuku, just up the street from my office.
Aloha.
How are you doing,
Thank you so
Pua?
much for having us today.
Absolutely.
You had a nice big couple of pictures in the local paper here on, what was it, Monday for Martin Luther King Day?
Yes, in honor of the Day of Service for Martin Luther King Day, Kaiser. They're such good neighbors. They came up and they helped us really overhaul our entire landscaping to be edible landscaping.
Wow.
So we had 80 volunteers, and they just had such a positive attitude and a lot of expertise. Those doctor nurses, they know a lot about construction, putting soil together.
I'm sorry,
and
you said
it was great.
edible landscaping?
Yes.
So everything produces some kind of food that you can eat?
Or it somehow contribute to the ecosystem.
Okay.
So we use natural farming, biodiversity.
Okay.
So we use a lot of natives. We actually worked a lot with Maui Nui Botanical Gardens last year. We had the docent tours who actually give a lot of history, Hawaiian history, and they make it really relevant. So the kids were really interested. And then we got a lot of sweet potato cuttings from them, and they came up and showed us how to use them. So that was our start, but we basically just had what most people have, just little areas. And we worked with Community Work Day, and they helped us to start with raised gardens and using circular gardens and those kind of things. So this is kind of the next step of that. And basically they did all of the prep work so that our students can now do a lot of planting.
That's great.
Yeah, so basically the center of our academics, we have middle school, high school, and GED, and the center of it is self-reliance through food security and sustainable agriculture. And that has been our theme last year, and we will continue on with that. So basically we just want to be able to feed ourselves with locally produced food and make sure our environment is okay. So it actually gives a great platform for science, math, language arts, engineering, all of the technology that goes into growing food in a way that we can best use our natural resource.
Yeah, and it's great that you guys are getting that concept to the younger generation, because that's only going to make our community, especially an island community like Maui, that much more self-reliant. So kudos to you for doing that that well with that.
It's a lot of fun, and luckily we have a lot of great community partners because I actually grew up in cities, and I don't know. Until this program, actually, I always did takeout, and yeah, I wasn't a big, never used my oven.
Yeah.
Unlike most good Hawaiian women who know how to make good food and all of that, I went to school and I worked, and that's what I did.
Right.
But for all intents and purposes, our kids are pretty urbanized. They really don't have any connection with the land, and so this year we focused on Haloa and Kalo. That's our theme, and Kokua, Laulima, Aloha, and Ohana. So helping each other, working together, showing aloha and ohana, those tie together all of our, values that we want them to live every day.
Yeah.
And so basically what we're finding is a lot of our families, regardless of their cultural or ethnic backgrounds, are really not connected to each other, to their families, to this place, but especially the environment. And what we found, it was really hard to interest them in farming or in our ecosystem without that connection. And then they also, their own identity and how they feel about themselves. If you don't feel like you can accomplish anything, it's hard to contribute in a way that's helpful. So we spend a lot of our time focused on how we treat each other and building their own identity, and trying then to introduce them to different places in the community where they can be inspired.
Well, the thing about making that such a priority is it's valuable for all those reasons, but you were also talking about how it ties into the standard academics, what are you talking about, like ecology and all those types of things. So it's a full circle great program, I think.
It can make science very accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, without trees, there's no rain. And without rain, there's no water. Without water, there's no life. So they're pretty simple steps. But, I think people who have been looking out for our environment for a long time are thought of as tree huggers, or, and kind of criticized and laughed at. But when you realize that our watershed is in danger of permanently being destroyed, and it's, it helps the kids, I think, and their parents to realize how precious what we have really is, and that it's worth protecting and having something. Our kids aren't successful in other situations for lots of reasons. And to have something that they really believe in. They're all strong-willed. That's one thing about them. They're all strong-willed. Even when they look very shy and submissive, and they really aren't willing to kind of accept whatever's given to them. They want more for themselves. And so they're a really great population. And I've talked to Susie about it when she was at MEO around social entrepreneurships, because they really care about things and they like to advocate. They just have to get all of that energy moving in the right direction, and they really don't like, many of them don't like authority. I mean, I could prefer not to take orders from people, and so
I could relate as a from back when I was in high school, certainly.
So trying to help them find small businesses that they could do where they can live a dream and have a passion, and I think it's not their parents' experience. It certainly wasn't mine. My mom worked 3 jobs, and they were all terrible, and I didn't want to be her, and she didn't want me to be her, so she was really hard on us. And I think the difference somewhat for our population now is that the parents are so overtired and feel so guilty, I think, about what we can't do and not being able to fulfill everything, that we probably aren't as strict with our kids as our parents were with us. So finding different examples of adults who are really productive, who love what they do, but who are very structured. Things don't come easily to them, and they have to work for what we're hoping that we can prime these people to go to the other valuable resources educationally or training programs in Maui, so that they'll be ready to take on and see the opportunities before them, instead of just choosing the video games and meeting at the mall. And we've seen our kids who really just weren't happy finding in the farming or the business part, the advertising, the financial part, the sales part. There's, in all of these things, there's a whole spectrum of career development. What we're trying to help them find are those jobs that they could learn without having to go to college. Some of them really are college type kids, but because of our economy and really what you're going to get in exchange after laying out your $80,000 to
Yeah.
$200,000 for 4 years of college.
Right.
You know, on this island, there's just not that return. So we're trying to be realistic and find jobs that, you know, that will fit them, but also if they can not go to college when it's not really what they need to get where they need to go.
I do actually think that that's a really important option or perspective to give to kids. I mean, I grew up on the East Coast, and it was almost an automatic thing. You will go from high school to college, and a lot of people were getting those degrees in
whatever, never expecting to work in it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's true. I mean, you really, you can give youth the option of alternative education, not necessarily going.
And let's take a break there for somebody who does know what they're doing.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story about what our organizations are doing to support the needs in our community. And the second half of the show here, we're talking with Pua Enos, who is the executive director of Hui Malama Learning Center. Now, 38 years ago, the Hui was formed.
40, yes.
40, okay,
Yeah.
40, yeah. But it had a whole kind of a different reason for being formed than what it has turned into.
Yeah,
Yes and no.
it's yes and no. Yeah, so Diane Ho was the founder of that, and it was girls who were pregnant and couldn't finish school, and then other kids who were just kind of behaviorally, the school was kind of just couldn't deal with them. And I can understand in a larger setting, we could not, I mean, we have a 1 to 10 ratio max, and sometimes it's 1 to 6. So the relationships we can create and the kind of guidance and structure we can give them is really different than if we had 30 of them. But what is probably the same thematically is just things aren't working for them where they are, and their parents have I give them a lot of credit because there's no bus to us. We do provide meals as part of our whole foods nutrition program because we found that what they eat really impacts how they learn and their behavior, and if they have anxiety. And many more of our kids, prescription drugs, for kids who have ADHD or anxiety, depression. I mean, we are a very medicated population. So
Especially in the last 15 years, I think.
yeah, it really has just exponentially just exploded. So we have found that through feeding our kids whole foods, so our program's pretty stringent, no corn syrup, no enriched flour, no preservatives, no colorings. But we found a huge difference. And I think, so what they need to thrive is just a lot more attention. And typically they're coming out of something that has just been really difficult for them. So
How many students do you work with now?
we have 10 in our high school, 10 in our middle school, so we're maxed out. And then we can go up to 16 in our GED, and we have 10 right now.
Okay.
So so our GED is a modified program, but our middle school, high school is from 8 until 3, Monday through Thursday, and then we have a half day on Fridays. So,
And so is the GED for older folks?
Yeah, so these
Okay.
are basically professional athletes or people who have travel a lot with their family. They're musicians, like surfers, those kind of things, or they're people who really struggled and really don't have capacity to go to school, or we can't get them into school for a longer period of time. and then they come to us, and then they test with the adult school. So we partner with the adult school, and they test there. And we really, they service most of the adults. So we have the older aged.
Interesting. Yeah. So on any given day up at your campus, which is up above the hospital area, there's roughly 20 people
Yeah.
running around.
Yeah.
Not running around, they're in class. What am I saying?
No,
Right?
but our lanai is pretty packed when we have, because we
Yeah.
have a family style lunch. So our program's very structured. They really don't have, they have a 10-minute break in the morning, and they have 15 minutes in the afternoon that are just kind of theirs. But we have no phones, no electronics like iPods. So they're really forced. One thing we've also identified is that many of our kids are so electronic based and Facebook that they lack some of the interpersonal skills that you build by being forced to sit together. So our breakfast, snack, and lunch, they play together, sit together, eat together, pass together, clean together. And that's our way of getting their social skills. And then twice or 3 times a week, we go out to different farms, and then they have activities there. So Waikikena Foundation, e Kuwaku, the Hawaii Restoration Institute in Waihe'e with Penny Levin. We go up to Kupa'a Farms, and then to La'akea with Alika Atai, who is now a teacher of ours.
Oh, is he? Oh, cool.
Yeah. We go to Hapi. And so what we do is we go there so that they can learn different styles of farming. And each of those farmers has kind of their own
Style
specialty or
yeah.
thing that they do. And, you know, one's in Waihe'e, one's in Haiku, one's in Kula, so they can see, you know, where water is an issue in Haiku because it's been diverted. Water is an issue in Kula when it rains too much and houses are flying down. You know, erosion
yeah,
is a big
right.
issue. Yeah. So it's, and then they get to learn from very different sources. And so that's something that's we really strive for as well. So they can hear things in different ways from different people because, you know, our learning styles are different. Not every teacher is for every student. And so our teaching staff, we have a fabulous teaching staff, and most of them have grown up actually in this kipuka and are from here. And, but we're really different from each other, which leads to a lot of, I mean, we're good, but we kind of model that
Yeah.
acceptance and respect for diversity.
Right.
And we do that deliberately so that the students recognize that they're to build their own identity of what makes sense to them, not try and be like a little me of, because I think education can have that
Right.
impact that we want everyone to do something in a certain way.
And you're not trying to create farmers.
No.
This is just something they learn so that they understand
Yeah.
for the future.
Yeah.
And hopefully will continue some exercise like this, you know, and in their future life.
Yeah, I mean, we hope that it will grow some farmers because most of our farmers are average age is 65, I think. And we also hope that
Sure.
it will interest people in native versus invasive and understanding, get them interested in habitat restoration. However, we realize that's probably going to be 20% of our population. So it's more that entrepreneurial spirit, finding something in the community that's important to you, but also the work skills. So to work out in the hot sun and get dirty and run into problems. And when you plant something incorrectly, it tells you. And there's some immediate feedback going on, you know, versus the kids who are very methodical and do as they're told. I mean, you just learn some really fabulous lessons. So it's really life skills and character building that we're doing through this in hopes that, you know, and sometimes it's science or technology, you know, you just never know what they're going to see on those sites. And one thing that we're really thankful, Native Intelligence has agreed to help support us and sponsor us for First Friday next week. We came up with this idea that our goal is to have every one of our students learn how to grow kalo from the beginning, like laying the bed, finding the water, getting it on the table and being able to eat it properly. And part of that is the kui and pounding it. So we're going to have our kids do a demo of how far they've gotten. I don't know if you folks have ever tried to pound.
I have not.
Yeah, it's not very easy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Sweating,
Yeah.
I mean, and it can come out really bad, really, I mean, that is something that is an instant reflection of what's going on with you, or if you just don't know what you're doing. So, and Bobby Pahia, we're so lucky. He's a farmer of kalo, and for 3 decades, I think, has been growing Kalo. And he just has fabulous business model. He's worked for UH. He knows so much about the varieties, and he's agreed. So first Friday, we're going to showcase him as our community kind of business for people to see and appreciate. And then we'll have a lei making. We're going to be giving away mamaki tea through Olama Napua, which is a health and wellness center, and just kind of show different cultural things so people can see. We did something for Anthony Natividad when he passed away, and we did just a demo. And it was so good for the kids to have all those people watching them and to realize that, I mean, for anyone, we were doing Pule there for a halau, and I turned around and there were, 200 people there.
Wow.
And so we're trying to find different kind of community ways that we can give back and share what we're learning in the community, but also give kids our students that experience and their parents who can be there to watch them.
Yeah, that's all
Be
great.
successful.
Yeah, isn't it? You must have a wait list of people who want to come to school there.
You know what? We usually try and work people in. So right now, even though we're full, and some kids do go through quickly and they'll take the GED and then they don't stay till the end of the year. So people should always come in, and money really shouldn't be an issue. Not that we have endless amounts of resources, but we just make it work, and we never want financial restraints. So even if people don't have, we oftentimes buy the students the clothes they need, or backpack, or water bottle, or the things, because a lot of our families, they just haven't brokered that into their monthly budgets, and they really need support around that. And I mean, a lot of kids go to other schools without the stuff they need to.
How much time does the typical student stay with your center? I mean, do kids transition from middle school into high school with your
Ideally,
program?
our middle school will go back to either public school or private school, and we transition them because we don't have band and all of the other things that big schools have. So that's our hope. And then with the high school, we aren't accredited right now, but we hope to be, so that if they wanted to transition back, because there are a lot of situations, and we've had it happen a few times, where they've come to us, we've worked on something that they just have been struggling with, but they get right back up to speed and are able to go back into high school. And for some of the kids, they really, prom is not their thing, walking the line is not their thing. And so for them, 3 years is pretty much a max for us. We hope that, but we ideally want them to start in the beginning year and stay until May.
Right.
Even if they're ready to take the GED and they're older, that just finishing something from start to finish, and the discipline of that is really important, because we're trying to prepare them to transition and live independently from their parents.
Yeah. Well, it's a really necessary goal to have for a lot of youth.
Exactly, and sometimes they've just gotten off on the wrong track as they've approached that middle school period. That's got to be one of the toughest times in a child's life. Aren't you proud of me? I said child, not kid.
Good.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
I think I said kid a few times.
No, they give me a bad time because I always refer to him as kid. What is this about this sheep and stuff? Sheep goes with the kid.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's got to be one of the toughest times in a child's life, that going into middle school. It's a different experience. You're getting mixed in with other kids from other. I did it, didn't I? With children from other schools, right? When you hit middle school,
The peer pressure starts so early, and I think because they attribute it. Some scientists attribute this to the milk and the stuff we put in our milk, but girls are developing in the 5th grade, when before it was more like 7th, 8th grade. But just the pressures, all the pop culture, the teasing, there's a lot about bullying, but I don't know, the whole bullying terminology doesn't really work for us because it doesn't really say anything. It's more that there isn't that same kind of be kind to each other, treat each other like you would like to be treated, because there's a kind of a...
You mean like teaching empathy?
Yeah, and just general kindness is not thought of as cool. It's thought of as wimpy. And niceness is considered weakness. And to be strong, you got to be tough. When most of them on the inside are sweethearts. They just have worn this way to kind of be at the top of the pecking rank so they don't get pummeled. And I think that's something that we just need to figure out as a community. And our poor teachers, I give them so much credit because they have so much on their plate. And with the standardized testing and all of the things that they're supposed to do, it's really hard just to teach so the kids learn and have successful experiences. And
It's just such a difficult age group for anybody, because you're so insecure,
Yeah.
at that point in your life, you're going through puberty, and you just feel different from everybody else, and so it's a hard time.
And you want to be autonomous and independent, so you're not very nice to your family your parents, but you really need a lot of guidance still.
Right.
They can dress themselves and brush their teeth and all that jazz, but emotionally,
Right.
they're really, hormonally, they're like 2-year-olds because they're trying to move into this different part of their life. So that's where having other adults in their life that aren't their parents to help that. So we really try to partner with parents, and we've been actually really successful in, us trying to exchange who can do what best, and for us to kind of align and circle the wagons.
Okay. Well,
And they don't understand that everybody else is going through the same thing.
right. That's the
So it's like
That's
they
the
feel
thing,
like they're
yeah.
different from everybody, and every one of them feels that way.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, we actually incorporate that into our peer mediation program for youth in conflict resolution and teaching empathy. But Pua, we're kind of running out of time a little bit. Is there anything that you really wanted to hit?
I just wanted to, I think I mentioned most of our partners, but I really just want to thank everyone in the community for being so supportive. We hope people will come check us out at First Friday, and
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
also be at the Ag Fest, which was a wonderful experience last year. And I just want to thank my board. They're really the backbone of what we do. They're super active and really helpful. So
So how can people check you out? What's your website?
www.mauihui.org, and we finally revamped the whole thing. We're also on
It's
Facebook.
good looking.
Yeah.
I don't take care of that either, but we have a great staff member who does. And and just people are welcome to stop by at our lunchtime if they want to join us. And we have a community school garden, so they can just come by and
Can people call
check
your
it out.
office? Or
Sure,
What's your
244-5911.
All right, 244-5911. Excellent.
Very good. Thank you, Pua. It's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Joylyn, it's a pleasure having you with us.
Hello.
I want to take just 1 second and talk about the Mayor's Small Business Awards. As you know, last year, well, as you may not know, last year they started the Nonprofit Small Business Award. And that's for any nonprofit doing business in Maui County with 50 or fewer employees. So if there's a nonprofit out there that you think should be deserving of special recognition, last year's winner was the Maui Food Bank. And so as somebody who was at the awards dinner that night said, well, now that they've got their award, we might have a chance.
They do
They do outstanding work.
Excellent
and that's,
work, yeah.
And so 50 or fewer employees, either contact the Chamber of Commerce or the Maui County website has these applications and so forth, and get those in. Deadline is coming up on February 11th, and the awards presentation is February 21st.
So recognize your favorite nonprofit.
Yep. 50 or less employees
Yeah.
for what they do and outstanding. We every week we think we've got 2 outstanding agencies we're talking to, and it's quite an achievement what everybody does with what little funding they have. Oh, here he's starting with the music. We want to thank everybody for joining us, all of you out there. This is the Maui Nonprofit Notes, and we'll be back again here next Wednesday, same time, same place, 11:10 a.m., 96.7 FM. Go to our website at mauinonprofit.org to see, check out some of our member agencies and find out what they do. And we encourage everyone to get involved by giving, advocating, or volunteering for your favorite nonprofit. Hey, Max, glad to have you with us today.
Always fun to be here.
Joylyn, thank you.
Mahalo for having me here as well.
And Pua.
Thank you, Susie.
Hey, and Gary, turn that music up. I think we got to go.
Aloha.
Aloha, everyone.